Philips B8905 Review. The Philips B8905 delivers knockout Dolby Atmos effects for its fantastic price. It has two HDMI pass-through ports, but the bass response is a bit intrusive on TVs with less than 55 inches. Dolby's variable excursion channel systems allows Dolby to stay focused on what it wants to optimize at that specific time. There are also technologies like LRACC and MRUC that allow for less bandwidth during the dialog box, but still deliver excellent sound quality. This speaker plus an amplifier can reach extremely high volumes and a pronounced impact on sound for your audience. With just one subwoofer, the total output power will be 600 W. HDMI eARC supports Dolby formats up to Dolby Atmos, but there's no support for DTS formats such as DTS XHear, despite support for DTS Play-Fi wireless connectivity. HDMI port are sure to be common on budget TVs, and if you're after a 4K HDR display, then HDMI pass-through is ideal for things like movies, TV shows, and gaming. They also support both Dolby Vision and HDR10+. It's controlled by voice, and a small screen on the bar showing what changes you're making. You can adjust the sounds in real time and produce a custom sound in the style you choose. But let's start with the Atmos stuff. Overhead sounds really come from the ceiling, things that are aimed to left and right come from the wall beyond the edges of the screen, and movement follows anything moving on screen impressively. The Philips B8905 sounds very good. It's a reasonably sized soundbar and, after it is connected to main stereo in, the sound seems to gain some balance from the sub. The talkback function of this stereo connection is especially useful when you are looking for background noise or conversations, and there are folded arms on the face of this component that can also be useful. The subwoofer feels a bit cheaper than the sleek little box you get from the Samsung HW-S800B, but that's understandable because it is cheaper. As we've mentioned, both units are fairly big in the grand scheme of soundbars. At 1120 by 64 by 113 mm for the soundbar, you'll need a TV of 55 inches or larger. The subwoofer is 230 by 400 by 407 mm, so will require only enough space to accommodate it. The ports are all lined up on the back of the soundbar and are easy to find and access. The soundbar can be wall-mounted too, and comes with some fixings for this in the box. Rather than describing it all as functional, we'd say it's all a bit coded up, with the occasional piece of functionality thrown in for good measure. Setup for basic listening is a cinch. Just plug it in your TV's HDMI ARC port, plug both parts into power, and you're away. Wi-Fi connectivity can be extremely useful if you want to access your multimedia when on the move or in a public place where connections might not be reliable. So that wasn't the case. This is due to what we're using, a PC with an HDMI connection. As both our audio and video signals have been passed through that same cable, it needs to work exactly like HDMI does for TVs. The B8905 is the best Dolby Atmos enabled system available in its price range at a cheaper cost than PlayStation VR. Reaching 200 watts of peak power, an amazing feature in a smartphone that desperately needs more power at this price. A single HDMI port versus two HDMI pass-through ports and might as well be a pair of monitors. You'd have to sit that close together to see each other properly, even inverted and mirrored.